Welcome back, it's your girl QB with Culturalist Theory. Today we're back at it, ranking the studio albums of the man, the myth, John Legend. Born John Stevens, the singer-songwriter and piano virtuoso, would adopt his moniker around 01, courtesy of Jay Ivy. Not only would Legend start his career in one of the dopest ways imaginable, making uncredited appearances on Jay-Z's Encore and Alicia Keys' You Don't Know My Name, but he would be the first artist signed to Kanye's Good Music label also. Staying true to the script, we'll only be going over his solo studio releases, but y'all can let us know where you would place the Roots collab album down in the comments. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, share, and subscribe. Enough with the suspense. Let's get to it. Number 7, Darkness and Light. Legend's 5th and final album under the Good Music umbrella, Darkness and Light sounds more like John was left out in the rain. After a working relationship that spanned more than a decade, Kanye's name is nowhere to be found on the Chicago Crooners farewell tour. Devoid of the sultry ballads and innovative production that catapulted him to the top, Legend's incorporation of more contemporary sounds like EDM and alternative pop were ill-advised at best, self-sabotaging at worst. Selling just under 39,000 in his first week, this would be his first album to miss the top 10 debut. It would also be his first not to snag any Grammy nominations. Despite receiving more love from critics on paper than his predecessor, Love in the Future, we think the album's staying power has spoken for itself. Overload, his collab with Miguel, was decent, and the ode to his daughter Luna on Right By You was endearing, but there aren't too many positive spins we can put on this project. If commercial sales are your metric of choice, we certainly need to shine a light on the smash hit Love Me Now, which sees John's family co-starring in the video with him. Flavorless production, limited features, and minimal subject matter ultimately would be too much for John to overcome. It's like the creative minds that birthed Love in the Future saw all of its success and thought, let's not do that again. We just don't understand what the Good Music family was when all this went down. Despite never releasing under the label, the artist formerly known as Mos Def was on the roster. We would have loved to hear that collab too. Big Sean would have also been a more organic fit than Chance the Rapper. We just hate to think that a contractual obligation would have been a thing to derail one of the most talented artists of the 21st century. At least at the time, but we'll put a pin in that. Number 6, Legend. Legend's semi-self-titled 8th studio album is a bit of a roller coaster ride. With 24 tracks and a runtime just north of 80 minutes, it's not a record for the casual fan. Enlisting help from Rose, Jid, Jhené Aiko, and Jasmine Sullivan, Stevens enjoys his best blend of hip-hop and R&B since 2008's Evolver. This one will also miss the mark for any Grammy nominations. We'll let it slide due to a more competitive pool of artists. According to Legend, due to the lockdown, he was locked in the studio, leaving him with more material than he knew what to do with. We feel like a broken record at this point, but when will artists realize that it's always quality over quantity? The two almost never coincide. In an interview with Billboard back in September 2022, John said that he approaches every album with the mindset of continually proving himself. Even adding that after 2 decades in the game, he finally felt comfortable embracing the stage name so many had come to know him by. While we're hard-pressed to hear the reinvention he claims to bring to the studio on this one, we can certainly agree that the love for his stage persona is long overdue. Legend sees John separating business and pleasure, with the A-side being more energetic and spontaneous, while the B-side is more sensual and reserved. Strawberry Blush, Splash, and Love hold it down for the A-side, embodying the elements of John's music we've come to love since his 04 debut. The B-sides were definitely where John was his most comfortable though. Tracks like Memories, The Other Ones, and Good sound like 06 Legend being dropped in 2022. As usual, there's a solid album beneath the filler, but seeing as we still need to view the project for what it is and not what it could be, second from the bottom is as good as it gets for this most recent effort. Did we forget to mention he teased a collab with Rose? Based on their current resume together, we definitely see that as a match made in heaven. Give us your top 5 dream collabs between rappers and crooners down in the comments. Number 5, Bigger Love. Legend's 2020 LP sees him bouncing back nicely following a 4-year gap since his last release. Securing his 2nd Grammy for Best R&B Album, Bigger Love fuses past and present perfectly. We're not exaggerating here when we say as soon as Ooh La started rolling, we knew this one wouldn't follow the same path as Darkness and Light. Flipping the next episode on Actions, soulful up-tempo grooves with I Do, and classic duet vibes on You Move, I Move featuring Janae. Sign us up. Don't Walk Away was definitely the sleeper of the project though. A Tim's remix would have gone crazy. That's hindsight though. The album would see Legend moving just 26,000 units in his first week, a career low, before his self-titled project. Proof that album sales don't equal quality. While this one finds itself at the lower end of our rankings, is because of how high he set the bar before, not the quality or lack thereof of this album. One thing that stood out on this one though would be his departure from instrumentation. With him almost completely abandoning the piano riffs we've come to appreciate, we're just not sure where that compromise leaves OG fans who are still singing along to Ordinary People and All of Me. Nevertheless, Bigger Love is a solid demonstration of Legend's ability to adapt to a genre that's unrecognizable from when he started. Even the album cover reflects a more emboldened Legend who is no longer bound by others' expectations. When looking at the commercial performance of artists like Legend and Alicia Keys, we've noticed that in recent years they've dropped some of their best material. Despite these resurgences, the album sales aren't adding up. Is that a product of streaming, or is artistry being abandoned for attention spans? After all, it's hard to match our current fast-paced lifestyles with ballads and classical arrangements. Let us know down in the comments. And yes, we know sales have very little relevance when talking about the quality of music, but when the music fails to get the attention it deserves, we want to know the cause of it. Back to the list. Number 4, Evolver. Easily his biggest sonic leap, Evolver was ahead of its time in an alternate universe. What we mean by that is, it doesn't sound like any of his peers, but the sound it implemented also wouldn't be adopted by artists coming after its release. Fusing a diverse collection of genres including hip-hop, R&B, EDM, and pop, Stevens' third LP threw audiences for a loop when it dropped. We're sure you remember the spirited feature from 3 Stacks on Green Light. You might even recall the brooding Everybody Knows, but only true Legend fans are going to be familiar with cuts like Cross the Line, Take Me Away, and Satisfaction. He sounds comfortable yet hungry in a balance we really haven't heard from him since. Keeping the features pretty light, in addition to Andre, John Tapp's Brandy, Estelle, and then president of the label Kanye West, if there are any industry insiders out there who can shed light on why It's Over got removed from streaming platforms, go ahead and enlighten us. We know why the Pamela Anderson reference was censored, but the track as a whole was too good just to be taken down like that. Evolver would debut at number 4, moving 132,000 copies in its first week. In addition to the declines in chart positioning and in album sales, critics also weren't receiving it in the same way they did once again. It took a few listens for us to understand why, and while we do agree that the quality isn't quite the same, the reception feels a bit lackluster for our taste. That being said, it seems John took those reviews personally, because he would come back with that heat. More on that in a bit. There are a few writer and producer credits we didn't expect to see when we were researching. Providing some backing vocals, Pharrell grabbed some writing credits on It's Over. Legend's name would be absent on any writing and producing credits for Take Me Away, while the track instead being written by, can you guess? Shaver Smith and Reggie Perry, aka Neo in Science, basically making this track an extension of Year of the Gentleman. Even Legend's future wife, supermodel Chrissy Teigen, would appear in the credits for Satisfaction. Their connection goes back a little further than that though. The couple met on the set of the Stereo music video shoot where Teigen was Legend's love interest. To be continued. Number 3, Get Lifted. Alright. We know what you're thinking. While on the surface, this might seem like a bit of a hot take, it's not as far-fetched as you think. Obviously, we need to hand out our flowers. John's debut really is the stuff of legend. With classic production, songwriting, and vocals, Stevens would secure both a Rookie of the Year and Finals MVP, grabbing 7 nominations and walking away with 3 trophies. There isn't a bad song on the project, but joints that stand above the rest. Let's Get Lifted, She Don't Have to Know, and Stay With You definitely fit the bill. The only thing we need to say about Ordinary People that hasn't already been said is that it got snubbed. We understand We Belong Together brought Mariah back from the brink, but never mind, that's a coin toss. Who remembers Stevens' playboy attitude and approach to the project? Before he was known for heartfelt serenades like All of Me and You and I, John was a heartbreaker. Despite the reputation he's since built for himself, his debut touches on topics of infidelity, casual romance, and an aversion to commitment. It's one of the most surprising and overlooked rebrands in R&B history. Get Lifted is definitely an essential listen for Legend, but when's the last time you gave it a spin? While we do love the sound John and his team created for the Timeless project, it does suffer from uniformity. There aren't a lot of versatile or experimental sounds with the album's 14 tracks. You could make the argument that it adds to its cohesion, and we wouldn't be mad at that. But when you hear similar amounts of fluidity in future projects, the addition of varying sounds and flows, we can't help but wonder if he played a little too safe on this one. Don't get us wrong, there's no denying the album's status as a classic body of work. From the impact and longevity to its quality and critical reception, it's standing and secure. This deep dive into his catalog did, however, shift our focus towards some underappreciated albums that we have a cultural duty to highlight for you. Number 2, Once Again. When setting the bar so high with a debut that's lauded as R&B's Album of the Year, a sophomore slump is almost inevitable, right? Not quite. 2006's Once Again sees Legend elevating his artistry and adding to a highlight tape that shouldn't have been this deep. Save Room is still his best opener more than 15 years later. While we're on the subject, Legend and will.i.am literally never miss. With 8 collabs across Legend's first 3 LPs, we have no idea why Legend abandoned such an underrated combo. Grabbing another Grammy for Heaven, it was clear John and Kanye couldn't miss if they wanted to. It's the album cuts that put distance between this one and Get Lifted for us. Maxine, Slow Dance, and PDA are just chef's kiss. Another Again has definitely gotten the most replay of anything here. Between that and Heaven, we're sure John and Kanye were at the peak of their collective powers. The album is not without its flaws. Songs like Stereo, Show Me, and Where Did My Baby Go are wearing their age right about now. But we'll take that trade-off if stepping out and experimenting means losing a song or two, but vastly improving the rest of the track list. We think it's a risk more artists should take, actually. If we said Once Again is Legend's most underrated album, would you agree? You know what to do down in the comments. There's a much deeper discussion we need to have though. Go watch the video for Save Room, then check out Legend's interview with Billboard. You see it too, right? He literally didn't age a day. No, but for real, did you catch that Estelle cameo at the end? We can see her calling John to hook that No Other Love feature up. They just don't make music videos like they used to. All right, now for our number 1 pick. Number 1, Love in the Future. Legend's 4th studio album, Love in the Future, is both polished and poignant, without compromise, easily serving as his most complete body of work. Not only being his most impactful, with smash hits like All of Me, Made to Love, and Who Do We Think We Are, but also on a critical level. Remember earlier when we were talking about Legend and Tegan's working relationship? Can you guess who the love interest is for All of Me? That's right, by far his most successful video to date, the video has accumulated more than 2 billion views. I think he figured out the formula. Features from Rick Ross and Stacey Barth are the only intermissions Legend enlists, holding down the majority of the 40 49-minute runtime with a handful of backing vocals. In an interview with XXL, Stevens said that this project saw more Kanye involvement than any of his other albums, which again begs the question, where was he on the singer's fifth and final good music record? Either way, listen to the album and you can hear the attention to detail, with each and every track having its own distinct sound and personality, yet still being assembled in such a way that they tie the project together. He would notch another 2 Grammy nominations, again walking away empty-handed, but maybe it was voter fatigue. Seeing his album with The Roots would also win Best R&B Album, but Love in the Future, Losing a Girl on Fire definitely should have sparked an internal investigation. 2 things can be true at once. This album's greatness can be mainly attributed to the quality of his ballads. The delivery, songwriting, and piano arrangements were all the best of his career. He also might have put one too many of those ballads on here as well. Fun fact, this would be Legend's only album where he didn't grace the cover himself. His minimal aesthetics definitely feel like a 2013 Kanye decision. We got some even crazier credits on here to run by you before we get out of here. If you enjoyed Tomorrow, make sure to thank producer Q-Tip. We hear it now, but definitely wouldn't have guessed that he was the one behind the boards. The Runners, the production team behind Rick Ross's Hustlin', Lil Wayne's Money on My Mind, and DJ Khaled's I'm So Hood had their hands on Save the Night. We can't emphasize enough how versatile this team is. Jumping over to the deluxe edition, Travis Scott grabs a producer credit on the Seal Assisted, We Loved It. But crazy than all those credits, Joe Jonas helped to pen Dreams, the 11 track on the standard cut. We're not making this up. John, if you're out there, why you make those interludes so short, bro? If you're going to cover Angel, you gotta come correct. That does it for this week's rankings. Let us know in the comments what we got right and what we got wrong. Leave a like and hit that super thanks to keep the content flowing. This is QB for Culturalist Theory, signing off.